So, something that I think or observe is that I think there's a misconception about what it means to live life or what living really is, especially in like this phase of life of being in your early 20s. And I believe that a lot of people have this idea that living life or living life to the fullest has a lot to do with fun, experiences. I wouldn't necessarily just say hedonism because I don't think that's where people's mind is at. I don't think people are trying to just be complete hedonists, but a lot of what I think people today view as living life is just around fun experiences and good times. And on the other side of that, I also think that perhaps with like younger people, there's this idea that struggle and hardship and like working to build yourself up and sort of like grinding is somehow associated with you're not living life and you're not sort of having a having the time you should, right? You're somehow missing out. Now, after going straight from high school into the workforce and basically working for most of my early 20s and not really having an abundant social life, I would disagree. Now, I'm not against having good experiences, and in no way am I saying that having good times and sometimes putting aside the grind to enjoy time with your friends, travel, have these fun, good experiences is bad. In no way am I saying those things are not good. I think you should do those things. But I do disagree with the idea that somehow work is slavery and, you know, the grind isn't something you're going to look back fondly on and that we need to push back responsibility in order to enjoy now. Because some of the most fruitful and fulfilling experiences that I've had over this chapter of my life have come from some of the hardest and most uncomfortable situations. I think about construction, right? I did that for, say, almost 2 years. And, I didn't have too much direction when I graduated high school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but here was, I'm an able bodied young man. Here's a job site. I can do this for now. And having a lack of direction and enduring the suck, right? The 5 a.m. waking up for the job, the cold mornings, working through the winter, the rain, the physical discomfort, the facing my fears, right? I was afraid of heights before I did construction and I ended up framing houses. And if you know anything about most construction jobs, you got to get over your fear of heights, walking on 2x6s, 1 to 2 stories high with no harness, climbing trusses as the crane operator brings in another truss. Like there was a lot of, this was a big fear of mine and, you know, it was uncomfortable, but I overcame that fear over time and just going through that left me with a great feeling of accomplishment. If you tell somebody, right, that your early 20s you were just at work all the time on a job site, it's uncomfortable and people think, "Oh, that sucks," but I look back and those are the moments that honestly I'm most proud of. In the moment it sucks, but now when I reflect on those moments, like I'm gonna never ever forget that experience. It was so formative to who I am now and what makes, you know, my life amazing now. It's that I went through that. And then transitioning into EMS and firefighting, it's like again, my life's been school, my life's been work. I haven't been traveling much. I haven't gone to the parties, haven't done these things, and people might assume, "Oh, you're not really living life." But again, it's kind of similar with the construction, like the adrenaline of going to 911 calls, diving into a career that, if you would have told me in high school, I would have thought I'd had no business being a paramedic. which and now I'm approaching the end of paramedic school within the next, less than 2 months. I never thought I would have been capable of being a firefighter, but I've now been a firefighter for 2 years and have gone to a handful of structure fires. And, you know, the actual act of firefighting is probably physically one of the most, if not the most uncomfortable sensations ever. Like, it's a workout in a sauna suit, and you feel like you're gonna die the whole time. But I've never in my life felt more alive than, you know, fighting a fire. And it's one of those things and experiences that I carry with me that's like, even if no one ever knows, the people, like, there's no footage, there's no highlight reel of it, but in my mind, like, that's a trophy that I carry with me for the rest of my life, even if whether I stay with this career or not. Like, that is such a formative and beautiful experience that I've been blessed to have. And it adds so much flavor to my life. And again, that comes with the theme of, you know, it was tough, it was not fun, it's work, but, those are some experiences that I've had that honestly, I feel very fulfilled. Like, now, the reason I'm bringing up these past experiences is because if I had to, like, put a pause on my life timeline right now and look back on everything I've ever done, like, I feel good about it, you know? I feel good about the life I've lived so far. Do I have some regrets? Sure, but I don't feel like I've wasted my time. I don't feel like I've missed out. I haven't had the travel and the fun that I want to, right? I haven't had the, like, super highlight reel experiences, but I feel good about what I've done. Although it was from a place of, struggle and grind per se, being on the tail end of these experiences, it's they're some of the most beautiful experiences I've had. And I honestly wouldn't trade any of what I've done for the world. Like, I would not go back and do things different. I wouldn't trade a day on the job site for a party. I wouldn't trade any day in the ambulance or in the fire academy or at the fire department for, some vacation. Now, I'm not saying traveling and fun is less valuable, but I just want to highlight the value and the fulfillment that'll come from embracing hardship and not being afraid to go out and live, right? Because living isn't just fun and hedonism, it's not just fun and pleasure. There's very much an element of feeling alive in struggle and grind. And I think really this comes down to the fact that it's a natural progression in your life. I think that putting too much emphasis on having fun and just feeling good and being happy all the time when you're just starting out your life is an unnatural course. It's more natural to endure struggle when you're young and have energy because you're building up your life. You're becoming somebody, right? Although I don't have everything figured out and I'm still very much navigating life, I'm becoming somebody. I'm going through experiences that are building me up and making me who I am and who I am becoming. And it gives you this sense of direction versus if you just put off responsibility and your development to enjoy life now, I feel like you're going to hit a point where you just realize, wow, I wasted so much time. And now you feel directionless. So, really taking the time to, or rather, changing your perspective on what it means to live and understanding that struggle and hardship are things that don't seem glorious on paper. I think looking at them with a more open mind can be beneficial because if I've learned one thing throughout this chapter, it's that the most fulfilling experiences don't always come from what seems the happiest or the best. And in those moments, there were times where I didn't know why I was going through what I was going through or what this would lead to. Like when I was making $16 an hour working construction, I had no idea what I was going to do. I just, you just got to have faith that something's going to work out. And it really comes down to who you are as a person, right? It comes down to what you're doing outside of your job and whatnot, and things will end up working out. But I don't know if this made sense. This is just a thought I had. So I guess in conclusion, don't be afraid to do something that is perhaps not as glamorous on paper while you're young. Don't be afraid to endure some struggle, endure some hardship, because at the end of that tunnel, there is a light and it is very good. You know, you will be rewarded for the work you put in. So it's just my thoughts.